Hello, good evening, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast with me, your host, Aaron David, guys. And I am joined tonight by not one, but two fabulous guests. First of all, joined by Damien Hendry, who some of you will know. Damien, how you doing, buddy, tonight?
Hi, Owen. Thanks very much for having me. I'm doing okay. You all right?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Good. Thank you. And also someone who you've seen before on the podcast, the fantastic Lorah Hatton. Lorah, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, Lorah. Lorah's just recovering from work, aren't you, Lorah?
Yes.
Right, guys. So tonight we've got quite a lot to discuss. Well, we've got bits and pieces to discuss. We're going to talk friendlies. We're going to talk signings. We're going to talk the quietest transfer window in probably history.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like me, you've all been scrolling through X or constantly refreshing Fabrizio Romano, trying to get him to at least say something about Rangers. But it just seems no matter what you do, he's never talking about us. But first of all, before we get going tonight, obviously welcoming on Damien, who some of you obviously know Damien from singing Four Lads Had a Dream and the famous RFC, which I was actually listening to in the car tonight whilst driving back from taking my daughter dancing. Yes. Fantastic tunes.
Love it.
Damien, tell us a little bit about how all that came about.
Yeah, I was very lucky, actually. We were just before lockdown and all that. The club were quite keen to make more use of the fan zone. I'm talking about the old fan zone before New Edgerton House and everything was there.
Yeah.
So there was a small kind of group of musicians that were also Rangers fans that got kind of involved in a WhatsApp group with a representative from Rangers, with a view to getting us along before match days and doing a bit of a sing song and stuff like that, and then kind of enriching the experience, I feel like. But obviously after I did that once, and then after lockdown hit, we had to think of something else to do. So they decided they wanted to kind of refresh some of the kind of classic playlist and also work on some new ones too. So because I was part of that group, I was very fortunate to be in the sort of mix when they came to recording the vocals for a couple of them, and the rest is history. Obviously during lockdown, it was just hearing them in the background on Sky Sports and stuff like that on the telly. But actually being in the stadium and hearing it over the speakers, it's bananas, man. I'll never get used to it.
It must be correct. It must be absolutely mental hearing yourself actually singing. When you're at the stadium, when you're watching the game, thinking, "My God, that's me."
It is so surreal, and do you know what? It's funnier, right? Because obviously, like 50-ish thousand people, like every other week, hear me singing. But nobody knows what I look like, really, apart from if you follow me on TikTok. So I'm like in the stadium and I'm like, that's me, by the way. There's no really any like sort of subtle way to say that without coming across like a bit of an egomaniac. So I just kind of keep my mouth shut.
That's funny. Yeah. I'd imagine, knowing some of the people from Glasgow, they'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, no.
Lorah, I mean, Lorah, you obviously go along to games and things. You've heard Damien's tunes over the tannoy there.
Absolutely, and it's amazing to put a face to the voice. And I was just saying there on my TikTok as well, I play obviously Rangers songs in the background, and Famous RFC is the one that gets requested all the time, and it is your version, Damien, and I didn't realise
awesome.
that. So I've actually been playing your song on TikTok for a while as well.
Oh, that's great. No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Lorah even gets
this face though.
Lorah even gets her friend the Celtic fan to listen to it as well, don't you, Lorah?
I get her to play it in her car.
Brilliant.
There you go, Damien. You're slowly seeping through it and taking over the other side as well.
Aye. Well, as has been discussed, it doesn't take much to get the other side commenting on your stuff, even when you're only ever talking about Rangers stuff. But that's another topic, isn't it?
Yeah, I just want to touch on that for a minute, because you know what, I'm forever deleting comments off my YouTube account. And you two guys, obviously, you go live on TikTok a lot, and you put a lot of videos out, much more than I do. I do most of my stuff on YouTube. Lorah, you must get absolutely fed up with the obsession that they have for coming on your live streams.
Honestly, it gets to a point where I just ignore it. I used to call them out on it, but they will sit on my live for an hour when I've got an hour's worth of Rangers songs playing. I'm only really talking about Rangers, and they'll sit during the entire and they'll be writing their daft wee comments and things. And I'm like, you're the one sitting here listening to Rangers chat, Rangers songs. But Owen, I was on your live the other day and I did hear you make a cracking comment, but I don't know if I'm going to repeat it on here, but you shut them down like that and it was
Yeah, I noticed you slaughtering them a couple of times on your lives, Owen. Good on you, mate.
What do you, I mean, Damien? When you've done lives and stuff, do you get lots of them on there, and do you shut them down, or do you just ignore them?
Do you know I'm really new to TikTok, so I've never went live yet. Although I physically can go live, but I've not done it yet. I don't know what I would talk about or anything, but even just the videos that I've put up, it's always talking about Rangers. It's never slagging them off or anything like that, but you always get them on. And I just don't understand what thought process leads to commenting on something for the team that you claim to absolutely loathe and despise and barely even acknowledge their existence. It wouldn't cross my mind in a million years to comment on a Celtic post. Just wouldn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't compute with me at all.
It's obsession.
I wouldn't either. I can quite honestly say I have never ever been on a Celtic podcast, watched a Celtic podcast. I have never watched a Celtic TikTok video. I've never been on a Celtic live on there. I've never commented on it at all because I've got better things to do with my life than sit and watch them talk. The obsession is real. The obsession is real, despite what they say, obviously. So, guys, we've obviously, we're in the middle of the January transfer window. We've also played two. I must stop calling them pre-season friendlies. They are mid-season friendlies. Obviously, the Hertha one, we kind of just ignore that a bit. It was kind of a training game, nothing else. But the FC Copenhagen game the other night was a really good test, I thought, against a good team. Damien, what were your general thoughts about that game?
Yeah, I agree. I think the sort of intensity level was really good. It was a lot more. It was a lot higher tempo, and it was a lot more. It felt more like a competitive game, if you like. Which obviously it suits us as we're heading back towards the competitive action. I think overall, pretty obvious. Corner kicks is not it's not our strong point. Defending from corner kicks and actually scoring from them as well. I feel like we're a kind of team we can get 15, 20 corner kicks in a game and not score from one of them, and we can concede one and score from that one corner. Concede from that one corner rather. So it's it's a strange one. I think it does happen a lot anyway. I think during the Copenhagen game, obviously the full defence pretty much had been switched out just before that it sort of happened. So you can maybe excuse it that way, but I think it is a concern. It's something that needs to be addressed going forward. Other thing is we need a finisher because the amount of quality chances we create that are missed continues to be a problem that seems to be going unaddressed as well. So that's basically it. 2 good goals, by the way, but I thought Dessers took his really well, Matondo took his really well, but either side of a really bad miss for both of them as well. So it was one of those, it's a funny one, but 2 each against Copenhagen is actually no bad. And as I say, it was pretty high tempo, pretty competitive. So no, a good run out before getting back to the competitive games.
Absolutely. Now, I know, Lorah, you told us off air that you hadn't actually seen the games through because you were busy at work, doing a much more worthwhile job, obviously, than Damien do. But, one of the points that Damien pulled up there, which I think is spot on, it's something I've said. We seemingly, I mean, if you go back to the Celtic game as well, we cannot defend corners, Lorah. It is a worry, isn't it?
I say it all the time. Our corners are, us taking them and us defending them, shocking. And surely Clement can see this, what's going on in the training ground, because it's obvious to us that we can't score for corners and we are terrible at defending them. So is Clement seeing it, or is it just us? Doesn't he seem to get better?
Absolutely. Now, one of the points that was made actually during the breakdown of the actual of why we were conceding was the fact that if you look at the set pieces that we've conceded recently, obviously the Hertha game and the Copenhagen game, Connor Goldson wasn't on the field for any of those corners that we conceded from. Now, Lorah, I know you're a huge fan of Connor, and I know he's a man that divides the fan base, and I've had the odd controversial opinion on him. Do you think not having him there is his organisational skills been there, gives us an advantage from set pieces, or do you think it doesn't really matter who is there, Lorah?
No, absolutely. I think Connor Goldson makes a massive difference when he's there. I think he probably brings a bit of confidence to the rest of the back line when he's there. it just doesn't feel right without him. And I do feel like our defence is much worse when he's not there. And I'm a massive Connor Goldson fan, and people maybe disagree. But me personally, I feel like we need him there, and it shows when he's not there.
Damien, what do you think? Do you think not having Goldson there is a loss, or do you think it doesn't actually matter? We just genuinely cannot defend set pieces.
Well, let's be honest. We do concede from corners when he's in the team as well. However, I do agree he is our strongest, most consistent defender. Yes, he's got a mistake in him, but what player hasn't? But I certainly think consistency-wise and reliability-wise, he's been a rock for us in there. And I agree that if he were to suddenly be out the team, as we've seen happen before, albeit not too often through injury, the defence seems to crumble. So I definitely agree if we were to get rid of Goldson, we would need to have a hell of a good player in there to replace him.
Absolutely, yeah, we would have. Obviously, I think that's probably going to be more a summer thing than a January thing, looking at obviously how the transfer window is currently going. Now, one of the other things you brought up there, Damien, which I think was spot on, was obviously the lack of a genuine finisher. I mean, we saw Rabbi Matondo was a great goal, top goal. Ran, obviously Ridvan gets the interception, Matondo picks it up, runs at the defence, scores. Cyril Dessers comes on in the second half. Now I've criticised Dessers, and look, he's an enigma. Dessers, I think he's an enigma. I saw a great point actually about Cyril Dessers during the week. Someone said he's like Carl Lafferty in terms of when he's on it, he's actually all right, but when he's not, he's just absolutely shocking. But we saw, I think, on Tuesday night, well, I think it was, the Dessers in a nutshell. He scores that goal with a super finish, and then a few moments later, he misses that chance where the ball goes wide. What's your take on I'm going to stop criticising him because I get slaughtered for it on social media. Damien, what's your take on Cyril Dessers?
Yeah, I think you've pretty much summed it up there. He's a player that can score, but arguably misses the simpler of the chances that he's presented with, and the goals that he does score are the more difficult ones. I'm hesitate to bring Morelos into this conversation, but Morelos had a habit of scoring the really difficult ones and kind of fluffing the really easy ones, albeit he scored far more often than Dessers has been at the moment. But he's shown that he has got it. He's shown that he can score goals, and he does score goals. It's just frustrating to watch him because, like you say, you've seen what he can do, and then when he's not doing it, and he's kind of... My main issue with him is, see, for the size of him and the physicality of him, he should be like a right good target man. But I feel like he's forever getting bullied off the ball, or he takes the ball down and then loses it really quickly. I think for his size, he needs to be a lot more physical and a lot more present on the ball and take a better touch from time to time. And his finishing, as we've seen, is kind of 50-50 as to whether he's going to do it or not. So for me, he's a decent player and a really nice guy, but by the looks of it as well. But for me, if he's going to be our main striker with the other two sidelined at the moment, we need to add, because he's not good enough to be our main number 9, I'm afraid.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Lorah, obviously, I know not obviously didn't see the games and that, but in general, what's your take on Dessers? I think we all know we need a striker, but he to me, he's an enigma. I mean, what's your take on him?
I mean, Damien hit pretty much all the points that I'm going to make as well. I felt like we had to give Dessers a wee bit of a chance, got off his back, let him score a few, and I thought he was going to turn into a cracking striker. He's not quite done that for me yet. Like Damien was saying, he scores these goals that should be hard to score, but see the easy stuff, he's like a donkey on the park, and you get so frustrated with him, but then he'll go and score a world-class goal. So it's quite frustrating, and I do think he does seem like a really nice guy. And I thought he just needed a wee bit more time. But as our main striker, no, he's not good enough. He isn't good enough to be Rangers' main striker.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, personally, as I said on the video this morning, I talked about the fact that he's more a kind of come off the bench kind of player. If he's going to stay till the summer, which it looks like he is, because we are very short of numbers. Because obviously Danilo is out for probably the rest of the season now. Roof, Mr. Glass, is out till March time. And we wouldn't. It's not like we're going to get anyone to buy him in January. I did joke on X the other day that the only person who might be interested in buying him is medical science. So that's why he's injured all the time. But he's He's awful. But I mean, some points here in the live chat. Super Blyat man says, so true about Dessers. It's unreal how easily he's pushed off the ball, and his first touch is a 10-yard pass. Lol. Dessers, and this is a great point actually. I think, and this is one thing I think we do see from him, and why a lot of his shots get blocked, like the Celtic game, like the Hertha game when he had a half chance, the Hearts games, other things like that. Dessers takes too many touches instead of hitting it first time. You know,
yeah.
As a coach, I always taught my strikers, you know, you either touch, shoot, or you touch, set, shoot. You don't have time as a striker to keep touching the ball and dribbling. And you get closed down like that in the box. You've got to move it faster. You know, that's where we're up to. So, look, we are obviously moving in. We are in this January transfer window. It is the 18th of January, and so far the only arrival has been Fabio Silva, who I think he looks. Damien, what did you think of Fabio Silva the other night?
I think he looks like a promising player. Obviously, we've yet to see probably the best of him. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him and seeing what he can contribute. But he certainly looks quick, kind of sharp, alert. Likes to come deep and get in amongst it, a bit like Morelos used to do. Rather than waiting for service, he'll come short, win the ball, then play a 1-2, try and play himself in. So he seems like he likes to get right in about it. And yeah, looking forward to seeing more from him. But certainly promising early signs anyway.
Laura, I know you obviously saw, if you think, the Kilmarnock game when he came on. And what are your early impressions of Fabio Silva?
I pretty much the same. I was really impressed with him. I seen him kind of similar to Cantwell the way he was playing. I think very promising, and I have only seen him in that game, so I've not seen too much where I can make too much of a comment, but I don't really think he's done much wrong. And for what I've heard for the friendlies as well, again, he's not done much wrong so far, so I think we just need a wee bit of time to see, but definitely promising. I'm glad he's here.
Yeah, he looks good, and I think some people did comment on the video the other day saying he does need to cut out the histrionics. He has got that Portuguese bit of a temperament to him where he does have. We do have a few histrionics for him. I don't know if I know you saw the game, Damien, the Hertha game. I don't know if you saw that where he went down to the ground. He was fouled. He then sits up, remonstrates with the ref like this, doesn't get his decision, and then throws what I can only describe as a toddler-style strop on the floor. Throws himself back on the ground. His arms and his legs go out. It was like, you know, your classic toddler in the supermarket throwing a strop, wasn't it? It
was, yeah. Again, it's a kind of a balance in that, because you want players to have that bit of edge about them and that passion about them. You want them to care enough to do stuff like that. But at the same time, you don't want them just to be lying about the ground the whole time, rolling about, like looking for fouls. So there's a balance to be struck there, but it's good to see he's got the passion and the sort of bit of edge about him.
100%. I found it entertaining. I actually found it entertaining. I thought it was quite good, actually. That was quite funny. And let's face it, all the Portuguese players do it. Ronaldo does it. João Felix does it. They all do it. It's a Portuguese thing. Not writing a whole nation off, but there we go. So, we're in this January transfer window. And like I said, Fabio Silva's the only one. Laura, what's your impressions of this transfer window so far?
What transfer window? Honestly, I thought we were going to see I thought we were going to see a striker. I thought we were potentially going to see a left back, and nothing's happened. But what is going on? I've heard some rumours that we'd put some bids in and it got rejected, but that nothing like that has been confirmed. That this is just like wee rumours of people saying. But to make one signing for me, when our team is badly needing signings, it's not good enough. What's happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Damien, what's your take on this window so far?
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with Laura. It's been pretty uneventful, with the exception of Fabio Silva, but even still, he was brought in, announced technically before the window opened. So since the window opened, we really haven't had anybody or any sort of, even any sort of solid rumours you've normally got going about to get excited about. I think we had Michy Batshuayi for about like half a day. Yeah. And you even had people turning their nose up at him. That would have been amazing if we got him. And he scored like 4 goals for Fenerbahce last night or something like that, I think it was. But it's January's always a difficult one. It's not a time to do a wholesale kind of rebuild and loads of ins and outs. We need to get the right people in. For me, we definitely need a goal scorer. We need a striker. lots and lots of chatter about Lawrence Shankland, but I feel like that happens every transfer window because he's a Rangers fan. So I don't know if there's any sort of weight to that, or if it is just the fans' rumour mill sort of churning. But like Big Philippe says, until we get a signature, we're not going to know anything, are we?
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I think it is frustrating, and I think like a joke. I was been scrolling through the Fabrizio Romano and constantly refreshing Fabrizio because he is the man in the know. Apparently, he sleeps with his mobile phone at sellotape to his ear, I think. But it is frustrating. I think personally, what makes it slightly more frustrating is we've had this training camp in La Manga, where we've had all the squad together. It's been Philippe Clement's real first opportunity to work with the squad and bring the squad together. And he's had those one-to-ones. That, for me, would have been the perfect time to bring in new signings, bed them in and get them ready to play. We start again on that Saturday against Dumbarton. We've got Hibs on Wednesday, and we've got then St Mirren the following Saturday as well. So we're into the thick of it. Again, you're going to have 3 games a week. You're not going to have time with the players on the training pitch. That's been a real frustration for me. Now, I mean, for me, Damien, would you have hoped that La Manga would have been the time to get these guys in and get these guys working with the squad? And that's probably why there's a little bit more frustration from the fan base?
I think that's exactly it. Like you say, it would have been the ideal sort of situation to get any new signings, not only familiarised with their teammates off the pitch, but also get them gelling on the pitch and get them working on some of the stuff that Philippe wants them to work on. But again, it's a weird window. It's always a weird window, January. But I do agree it would have been ideal to get a few people in before the training camp. However, that's not happened. So we just need to hope that whoever comes in is going to hit the ground running. Absolutely.
Now, Lorah, I think we've looked at, like I said, it's an intense period, isn't it? After Dumbarton on Saturday, there should hopefully be no trouble there. But it is a frustration, isn't it, Lorah, that we haven't got people now?
Yeah, absolutely. This Dumbarton game, like you're saying, we'll breeze through that. But that's the game where I was wanting to see a couple of new faces in the team. And well, it's not going to happen now. So it's a wee bit disappointing, but it is what it's January window. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you think? January is a tough time to sign players. We know that it's a seller's window because teams that are still fighting relegation, teams that are fighting for Europe, teams that are fighting for titles, teams that are still in Europe don't want to sell players because they want to maintain their squads. And the players that do try and move on are perhaps some of those players that are going out of contract or have something wrong with them or have an attitude problem. Emmanuel Dennis, for example. So it is a difficult window to bring players in. And I get that 100% that it is a very tricky window. As Jim Baxter says, Jim Baxter, I don't know if it's the real Jim Baxter, although I think he's dead now. January window is more complicated and more reliant on other teams' signings and outgoings. Now, Damien, you mentioned obviously Lawrence Shankland there. Lorah, would you like to see Lawrence Shankland in a Rangers jersey?
Honestly, I thought we would have signed him. I thought he was going to be our first signing in January. I would love to sign him. I do believe that Hearts are giving him a contract which is going to make him the highest paid player at Hearts. So it's going to make it probably a bit more difficult for us. They're probably going to want a lot more money. But I would pay the extra for him. I think he would be a great asset to Rangers. And I'm actually a wee bit gutted that we don't have him yet.
Yeah, love your optimism, Lorah. Love the optimism. Damien, what would you like to see Shankland in Rangers jersey? And do you understand any of the fans who don't want him?
I think personally, I would love to have him. It's a bit of a no-brainer in terms of he's a proven goal scorer in our league, which is important when we're talking about players hitting the ground running and not taking a lot of time to adapt. So that's probably the key reason why somebody like him would be good. Obviously, there's the thing as well. He's a well-known Rangers supporter, which never hurts. He understands what it means to us. I think the reasons against getting him in are that it wouldn't be a part of the player trading model in terms of it wouldn't be like a future sellable asset kind of thing. We're getting him, what is he, late 20s, 28, something like that?
28, yeah.
And then, so it's not like a development project, somebody that we can hope to then sell on for big bucks in 5-6 years or however long we have him for. However, I think if we've got any serious aspirations of winning winning more silverware this season, particularly the league, we need somebody like him, and there's nobody really like him. So that's why I think Lawrence Shankland is a no-brainer for us.
Yeah, I agree. I've been a big advocate of Shankland. I think, like I said, I think that the trading model is great, but you've got to apply the trading model flexibly. You can't just buy kids. You can't just buy young players, because if you do that, you're not going to win anything. You need an experienced core. You need some veteran players who you're not going to make a profit on, who are just there to help carry the team. And Shankland would certainly be that. And I think one of the things that gets me is that it's a bit short-sighted, I think, if the board are thinking that 3 million, 4 million is too much for him, because the way you reckon it is this. He comes in, say I know it's look, before anyone pulls me up on this, any signing is a gamble. Any sign, even if we had the money and we went and signed Kylian Mbappe tomorrow, okay, it is a gamble. You don't know how they're going to adapt. You don't know how they're going to become a Rangers player. Becoming a Rangers player is very different to playing for Hearts, to playing for any team. But if he comes in, scores 15 to 20 goals, we win the league. If we win the league, we're in the Champions League. Therefore, he's automatically paid for himself. He probably gets us through at least another round in the Europa League. Again, more money. So he's going to pay. It will pay back more than that 3 to 4 million you're going to end up spending on him in the transfer window, and probably some of his wages as well. So there you go. That for me does sort of slightly concern me if it's money that is the obstacle. Lorah, there's a lot of chatter around amongst a significant group of fans saying that we haven't got any money, that we're skint. Do you buy into that, or do you think that's all just talk?
I think it's all just talk. Obviously, I don't know Rangers' financial status right now, but I don't believe we're skint. No, in fact, I know we're not skint. I don't know where that's came from, but I hear it all the time. I get it on TikTok and things as well. That Rangers don't have any money, and that's why we haven't signed any. But that's why, particularly, we haven't signed Shankland, because we don't have any money to buy him. I don't believe that. And just to touch on when you were saying, 3-4 million, they're saying that's a bit too much for him. I would go probably as high as 6, maybe even stretch to 7 for him, but I'd run about 6 for me. But no, I don't believe Rangers have no money.
How about you, Damien? Do you think we're skint, and we have to sell first, or do you think that's all just rubbish that's spouted by the media and spouted by certain groups, obviously that are anti-board, anti the club at the moment?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, really. I doubt we're flush by any means, especially after that summer transfer window we've just had, and Beale kind of got a blank cheque almost, and we saw how that worked out. So I think there's probably an element of recovering from that slightly, and being slightly more sensible and slightly more probably approaching it slightly more frugally this time around. But for me, Clement's done nothing to sort of reinforce that in any way. If anything, he's shown why he should be backed, and why he should be. Like you say, there's a lot of ifs involved in a signing like Shankland. But I think it's worth that gamble when you're gambling on somebody like Philippe Clement, who's shown already with an injury-ravaged squad full of poor performers, what he can get out of them. So I think he's the man to back. If you're going to spend, get it done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Good point here from Shug D in the live chat. Says Mark Hateley was 28 when he signed, and he did not bad. Yeah, Hateley was fantastic. Loved Mark Hateley. Top man he was. I think one of the things obviously as well is that there's an awful lot still, I think, and this might be a summer thing, Lorah. There's a lot of deadwood we need to clear out of this club, though, isn't there?
Absolutely. The injury-prone players, they have to go. One of your highest paid players right now, Ruth, for me, he has to go. I think we need to start at the injury-prone ones, the ones who are playing 8 games a season, if you're lucky. They need to go. The ones that aren't performing and they've had enough time to perform and they're still not doing it, they need to go. I think that the Rangers does need a good bit of a clear out. And absolutely. I would start because he's annoyed me.
With who? Sorry, that you broke up there. Who was that?
Ruth. Yeah. Start with him. He has to go first. He has annoyed me and I don't like him anymore. So he has to go.
Absolutely. Damien, do you think, deadwood wise, we know there's a lot of deadwood. Where would you start the clear out? And the two obviously names that cause a little bit more discussion than others are Ryan Jack and Tom Lawrence. Where would you stand on them?
Well, first of all, again, Laura, I've got to agree with you in terms of the perpetually injured players, Roof being the sort of prime example of that. There's no room for sentiment. If we are serious about winning titles and winning silverware on a consistent basis, there's no room for sentiment. These guys are good players. We can see what they can do when they're fit. But the problem we've had for too long now is that asterisk next to their name. When they're fit, they're a good player. We don't want that anymore. We do need to start, in my opinion, with the perpetually injured. I mean, Ryan Jack is one of those, as much as I hate to say it. He's a great player. I like him a lot, but he is another one who can't stay fit long enough for my liking. And again, with Tom Lawrence as well. I mean, he's out for 5-6 months, comes back for 2 weeks, then he's out for 3 months, comes back for 2 weeks, then he's out injured again. Yes, he's back again. But how long can we play this this mad game with all this money at stake?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Tom Lawrence. I think he's a cracking player. But you're right, Damien. He's so frustrated. He comes back, like I said, plays 3 or 4 games, and then goes off injured, then comes back again, then gets injured. He just seems to have no strength, no ability to come through all those injuries. And I think we do need to clear out. And for me, I agree with what you said, Laura Starr. Kemar Roof has got to be the first. I mean, he's going to walk for nothing in the summer, but you're not going to get anything for him because he's just, no matter where he's been, he's always been injured. And I feel for the lad. I really do, because he's a good player. But I really just think that enough's enough. Enough is enough. Just let him go. I would even be tempted to cancel his contract now. Just pay him off, because he's contributing nothing, and he's not. Even if he comes back, as well as I do, he'll play a couple of games and then he'll be off injured again. Because I know he pulled a hamstring taking his tracky bottoms off or something. That seems to be the way it goes with him. I don't know. I think this is a good point as well. I think this is something else that's been flagged up. Something majorly wrong with the doctors at Rangers. We need a doctor. Yeah, I think there is some sort of problem with the medical staff, with the strength and conditioning staff. But Laura, Philippe Clement definitely seems to have identified that as been a big thing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's commented on it before, and many people you speak to say the same things as well. Is it the fact that are our doctors not good enough, or are these players just broke? Can it be fixed? But if I was Clement, I'd be having serious words with these doctors and saying, what's the chances of him being 100% fit again? And see if they're not, get rid of them. It's as simple as that. These players aren't going to stay fit. If these doctors can confirm that, listen, his knee is done in. It's going to keep happening. Right, get rid of him then.
Yeah, you've got, again, like you said, no room for sentiment, I think, as Damien said. Damien, you talked obviously about Lawrence Shankland, and I think we all know a striker has to be the top priority. It's got to be this window. Where else do you see has been a now problem, a January problem? What would you like to see in January arriving through those doors at Ibrox?
Yeah, I think other than the obvious, as we've discussed, a centre forward that can actually put the ball in the net. I don't know. I mean, obviously our central midfield's been a bit threadbare recently with injuries as well. But then you've got Sterling's kind of stepped in and almost made that role his own. So whether he continues on in that role and we can kind of focus on other areas, I think a lot of it is going to depend on if anyone goes the other way. For example, there's been a lot of chatter about Ridvan perhaps being going elsewhere. And I think with Borna Barisic out of contract in the summer, I think I'm right in saying, that might be an area that we do need to look to reinforce sooner rather than later. But again, I think a lot of it will depend on outgoings, whether we will then bring in replacements, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it does make a lot of sense. Laura, do you see any other areas you think that for January that are an absolute must to strengthen?
So again, agreeing with the both of yous, for me, striker being first, and then it's got to be a left back. I love Borna Barisic, I do, right, but he's not good enough, and unfortunately, we Yilmaz, again, I like him as well. For me, not good enough, and I do think Yilmaz is going to go. So for me, it's striker and left back. They two are, a striker is an absolute must, and a left back I think we need.
Yeah, so especially given that Borna. Well, We'll come on to Borna in a minute because Borna's got me a lot of stick this week on social media. Look, I had the most. You know what? I know that social media can be a very poisonous place, but I've had two of the most surreal conversations this week on X. Just absolute surreal conversations. One was about Ridvan's height. I mean, it sparked. I put a post out about people picking up about he's not tall enough, but then obviously talked about the fact that there's very small world class left backs in the past. People missing the point. I wasn't saying he was as good as Philip Lahm or Bigente Lizarazu or Cafe. I was just saying they were all so small. But people saying, you know, you go on any website and research him, and he's 5'8", apparently. But oh my God, the discussion that went over the height of Ridvan Yilmaz was incredible. It was such a surreal conversation. I mean, Damien, how tall is Ridvan in your opinion?
I've actually seen this. Like, what you're talking about has been quite entertaining the past sort of day or two.
Yeah.
I think 5'8's being generous, is it not? Surely. I mean, I think I'm about 5'8". I'm not tall. I'm not tall by any manner of means, but your guy looks like a wee guy. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. Can we get a measuring tape and grab him the next game?
I mean, I'm just going off. So I don't know Ridvan personally. I haven't measured him. Look, that would be just weird. I mean, I'm going off like what I've gone off is Transfer Market, Football World. All the football stat sites have all got him listed as 174 centimeters, which equates to 5'8". Laura, is Ridvan 5'8", or do you think he's smaller?
Well, 5'8". Again, I've no measured him either. I've no met him, but he is not 5'8". My son is taller than 5'8". And there is my son's just taller than 5'8". No way. I would say 5'6" at a push.
Yeah, that was the first most surreal conversation that I've had this week. The second one was regarding Jack Butland and Robbie McCrory, which was really surreal. But there we go. Someone claiming that Robbie McCrory was a better goalkeeper than Jack Butland and would have saved Kyogo's 2 shots in the Old Firm game, which was a really surreal conversation. I think that person may have been on something. He really had genuinely. Yeah. Laura, was it you? Are you a secret Robbie McCrory fan?
I don't agree with that. No, I don't. I like story, but nah.
I mean, the other point we're going to bring up there was Borna Barisic. Now, and again, I know, look, I take everything with a pinch of salt. You know, reports in the paper, reports online. You have to take it until Rangers actually announce it, and it's in the Blue Room or it's in Auchenhowie or Ibrox. You can't believe it, you know, that any of that. But Borna Barisic, Damien, would you give him a new deal or not?
Not for me, no. He's been good for us in spells, but he's also kind of been posted missing in spells as well along the way, whether it's been injured at certain times. I know that's a bit cynical and maybe a bit unfair, but he seems to be quite conveniently injured at certain times, missing certain parts of certain games when things are getting a bit tough. Don't know if I'm being a bit too nasty and a bit too cynical there, but yes, he's been good for us. He's got some left foot on him, absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about that. However, I think it's probably time to say goodbye, Borna.
Fair enough. Laura, look, I know you've got a soft spot for him. Borna Barisic, new deal or not?
No. I do have a soft spot for him, but no. I mean, like you're saying, he's good in spells. He's good for, you know, his corners, and it's always great to have a left foot like Borna Barisic's. But when it comes to football, he's just not that good. It doesn't, I mean, as soon as he gets the ball, he's passing it back or passing it away. It just doesn't bring much to the team at all. So no, it wouldn't be a new contract for me.
He's kind of lost the yard of pace over the way as well. He used to be quite fast bombing down. It used to be like the left-hand side version of Tavernier, but he's kind of lost that a bit as well. A bit kind of pedestrian and a bit sluggish getting forward. So yeah, I don't know. He's been a good servant, no doubt, but nah, not for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the only reason you would perhaps give him perhaps even a 1-year deal would be to then sell him and get some money for him. But I think then that's a risk, obviously, that any club's going to come in and buy him. And like you said, Damien, he has become older. And look, as we get older, we get slower. And, you know, that's just a fact of life. And our back four is slowly aging. You know, you've got Tav at 32, got Connors 31, Leon Balogun's 36. And I think Borna's 32 now, I think. we've probably got one of the oldest defenses in the SPFL now. So it is a case that he is slowing down. Lorah, that for me has got to be a summer thing. We need a massive defensive overhaul in the summer.
See, I'm sort of not on that side. Minus Barisic, I think I'm happy with our defence. I know we're not defending well. I don't know who I would take out our back four. I don't know. It's a bit of a touchy one for me. It is quite hard to explain that we're not defending well now, but I like everybody there. And I mean, who would you take out your back four?
Damien, where are you on this? Do you think we need a defensive overhaul in the summer, or do you think it's just a case of not actually overhauling it completely? It's just the odd couple of pieces to perhaps come in and cover. Where are you on this?
I agree with you, Owen, in that it is kind of getting on a bit in years on average. And I agree with you, Lorah, and that it's difficult to say who you would take out. I think probably, again, when fit, I think we should be going with Tav, Goldson, Balogun and Ridvan if he's still going to be here. As far as centre-halves are concerned, we've got Ben Davis, who again is injured. Another one who doesn't seem to be able to put a string of performances together. Yes, he's been good in spots when he has been playing, but he's out injured again. Suter is another one who's kind of come in and out of the team. I do prefer him to Davies. I think he's got more of a physical presence, got more. I don't know if he's that much taller, but he uses his height a lot better to deal with aerial balls. But again, any sort of combination of them you put together has been caught out with just simple balls over the top, in the last sort of 6 months or so. So there's issues there, yes. Whether it's getting rid of the whole lot and replacing them, perhaps not. I think we do need to be looking at a starting, consistent centre half to partner Goldson, though, because Balogun's no spring chicken as much as I love him, and Davies can't stay fit, and Suter's for me is kind of in and out of the team. He's not really staking a claim. So yeah, it's something that needs to be looked at, but perhaps in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we need to do is we need to get a centre back in, definite, commanding, no nonsense, no messing centre half. And like you said, Damien, Balogun, I think Big Leon's been brilliant this season, but the guy's 36, he's gonna be 37 next year. And I know Davy Weir played till he was 40, but the game's changed, the game's moved on. And as much as I love Big Leon, I think giving him a new deal would be a mistake, because I think we do need someone there. In terms of taking out, I think rather than perhaps I rephrased the question badly, rather than just completely ripping it all up, throwing it all away and starting all over again, you may need a sort of a gradual process of change. So Dujon comes in to replace Tav. You bring in a centre back or two centre backs who will slowly move in and take over from Goldson and whoever is alongside of him. And we're probably like you've both said, left backs will need to be signed. Because, look, don't get me wrong, and I've given up commenting on Tav because I get so much abuse either way. If I praise him, I get slaughtered. If I criticise him, I get slaughtered. So Tav is kind of like I'm not commenting on Tav anymore. I'm kind of scared of commenting on Tav now. But he's not getting any younger. He's 32 years old. And unfortunately, time moves on with all of us and we all slow down. We all get, things get taken off you as you get older, to quote the Any Given Sunday speech. It's the way it is, unfortunately, and Tav's not getting any younger, and we can't always rely on him. He's not always going to be there. And I agree, we probably won't realise how much Tav contributed until Tav's gone, but it is something next season that will need to be addressed, because he's 32. He cannot play every game like he does at the moment. It's just not going to work, especially in those games against that lot in Europe. And if we get to Champions League, certainly in the Champions League, because the level of competition is just so much higher. So we do need, I think, to perhaps not throw it all out, but at least bring in two new centre-backs and a left-back to give us that gradual changeover over the summer and then into next season. And I'm pretty confident Philippe Clement has the ability to do that. Really, he is a quality player. Now, I think obviously we've spoken about Shankland tonight. Damien, if we don't sign a striker, and I mean a proper out-and-out 9 in this window, can we win 56 this year?
No, quite frankly, I don't think we can. If we could guarantee that both Danilo and Roof would be available imminently and available for the rest of the season, perhaps. But with our injury situation being what it is, and Dessers being, yes, his only crime is that he's fit and available just now. It's not his fault, but he's not. For me, he's not going to be leading a title-winning team, leading the line for a title-winning team. We need somebody in there if we're going to win the league.
Laura, can we win 56 if we don't sign a striker?
I strongly agree with what Damien said there. He pretty much took the words out of my mouth. No. No. If Danilo and Roof were able to keep fit, I would say maybe we have a chance. But are we even going to see them this season? So without a new striker, I do not feel that we are going to get enough goals to see 56.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, I do have to agree. And I just as someone who loves the club, it just really annoys me because I don't know about you. I know what the answer is going to be to this question, but I hate seeing them lifting that trophy. It just winds me up somewhat chronic. And I just cannot get to May, June time and see them lift the trophy again. I just can't see it happen again. I mean, Damien, it just can't happen again, can it?
No, but like we've just said, that certain things need to happen if we're going to stop it. And even then, even if we were to get, for example, Shankland in, and even if he did score, for example, another like 15 goals between now and the end of the season, that still doesn't guarantee it. So we're looking at. I don't think it's over as a race like a lot of people do. I think the Old Firm game in December, I don't think that was as decisive as a lot of people would have you think. If we win our games in hand, the gap's only 2 points, and we're still to play them another couple of times. It's a tough one to say. We do need a goal scorer, but even with that, it's not guaranteed. We need to really up our levels and really start putting teams away and stop dropping silly points. Absolutely.
Laura, I'm sure you're going to say the same, but does it really wind you up as well?
It winds me up so much. I hate seeing them lift the cup as much as I love us lifting the cup. The same kind of passion is there. And again, I don't believe that it's over yet. We win these games in hands, which I think we will. It is only 2 points. The race is still very much there. So I don't even want to picture them lifting that cup. But if they do, I might be done with football. I maybe need to find a new hobby because I
can't do it, Laura. You can't do it. I've said that in so many seasons over the last few years, but no, it can't happen. Shug D says a good point here. Sorting out our set pieces costs nothing. I think that's a big one. Obviously, going into the rest of the season, being able to defend corners, not just obviously from the mid-season friendlies, but like I said, the Celtic game where, yes, the ball might have gone out from the corner, but the set piece defending was absolutely shocking. And I can't remember the guy's name. Was it Bernardo who scored? It was a shocking header. No one closed him down. It was just poor defending, and he's right. It doesn't cost a penny to sort that out. Now we've got Dumbarton on Saturday. Laura, going to that game, in that cup game. Do you want to see us put out our strongest 11, or would you like to see Philippe Clement sticking some of the kids out there and giving some of the younger players and the squad players more of a go with the idea of Hibs coming up on Wednesday?
I absolutely. I would much rather see some of the younger players out there. I mean, Dumbarton, I believe they're sitting fourth in their table at the minute. I don't think they're a threat at all. I don't think we have to play our strongest team. Obviously, I mean, you're wanting your strongest team to be match fit for Hibs coming up, of course. But no, I would much rather see some of the younger boys getting some time on the park so we can see how they play. I think it would be daft to risk potentially an injury against a team like Dumbarton.
Absolutely. Damien, what do you think against Dumbarton? Is it a time to rotate and put some of the squad players and the younger players in, or do you play your strongest team for at least 45 and then start subbing them, or is it too much of a risk? Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, I think for the first time, Laura, I'm going to slightly disagree with you here. Sorry. No, I would go for as close as possible to the strong 11, the strongest 11. I think something like what we started the Copenhagen game with is pretty much, I think, the strongest we've got fit and available. Butland, Tavernier, Goldson, Balogun, Redvan, Lidstrom, Raskin, depending on how he's responded to his minutes at the weekend there, and then McCausland, Matondo, Silva. Obviously, being that Seema's still not available to us, I would go strong. I would take nothing for granted. I would try and get a couple of goals early, finish the game off, kill the game off with a third, and then look at maybe rotating players in. I would try and get the game taken care of as early as possible, and then rest some players for the Hibs game. But that's just my opinion.
No, yeah. It's like football's. You know what? It's great because football is a game of different opinions, and I think some people fail to realise that, you know what, not everyone thinks the same as them. And as we all see on YouTube and social media, we all get slaughtered for this. But it would be boring if everyone thought the same. I think, you know, you've got to have some of the players in there, but I'd like to see, personally, would like to see the likes of Bailey Rice get a run out. I mean, I love Bailey Rice. I think he's a class act, the young lad. You know, maybe as well, you've got to kind of play some of those players. I mean, Matondo's got to play because he needs match fitness, and there is literally, with Seema out, there is nobody else. But yeah, I think one of the things that worries me, Lorah, going into that game is a complacency. I'm not talking about amongst the fans. I'm talking about amongst the players, that everyone kind of expects you to go to, even when it's in Dumbarton and it's a horrible little ground and it's got that weird mountain thing by it and everything. There could be a complacency there that we're Rangers, we've beaten Betis, we've beaten this team. It's only a little Dumbarton. Do you think that's something that Philippe Clement will knock out of them straight away, or is that something that worries you?
No, I wouldn't say it's something that worries me. So I think, can you repeat the start of the question? I only just caught the last bit because you broke up a bit at the start. Okay,
so do you think is complacency the biggest worry about going to Dumbarton on Saturday? Is that the biggest fear?
I can see why you would ask, but no, I don't really see it as a fear, to be honest. I don't think so.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, it is obviously. I think there's always an expectancy, isn't there, that the Premier League team should always beat the lower league team. I mean, we've obviously got Dumbarton. That lot they've got, I think it's Bucky Thistle, and you know, good luck to Bucky Thistle when they play them on Saturday or Sunday, whenever they play them. But it is a worry, isn't it? I mean, Damien, what's your prediction? What's your prediction in terms of scoreline for Saturday's game against Dumbarton?
Yeah, I hate doing this because it's so difficult to say, because it depends what sort of version of the team shows up. I do think Big Philippe strikes me as the kind of guy that does not suffer complacency and would not allow it in any of his teams. So I'm not worried about that. I'm going to go for a comfortable-ish win, 3-0.
3-0, fantastic. Okay, Lorah, what's your prediction for Saturday?
I'm not as confident with the goals. I'm actually going to go 2-0. 2-0,
okay. I'm going to go for 3-1. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think they'll somehow fluke a goal. So I think 3-1. And I think, like you, the thing that does worry me, and there's some very confident predictions in the live chat. 6-0, fantastic.
Popping up.
the boss is saying 6-0, so you know, well done. You know, Philippe, get that into them for Saturday, please, mate. Sharpie says 4-0. Look, I think the goals do worry me, where we're going to get the goals from. That is one thing that does kind of just trouble me, that we don't put the ball in the back of the net on a regular enough basis, that there's just a lack of that clinical cutting edge, you know, which, considering how much we've spent on strikers, is ridiculous that we've got that situation still. It's where it is what it is. It is what it is. Thank you very much to Michael for the live chat. 999, very good pod. Owen, Lorah, Damien, we are the people. Sign Shankland Rangers. I think we all agree with that one. Obviously, just to finish off with a couple of things to finish off. Obviously, the first thing, we then go to Easter Road on Wednesday night. I think it's Wednesday night, which will be obviously live streaming here on the channel. Do you think is that a banana skin game, Damien, or you're confident going into Easter Road on Wednesday night?
Do you know what? I'm never particularly confident. I feel like Hibs away in particular is always a kind of a funny one for us. I think the only positive about playing Hibs, particularly at their place, is that they do tend to come out a bit more and have more of a go rather than play the low blocks. That suits us. But then knowing that suits us, are they going to then change things up a bit and put 5 at the back and sit in really deep? I don't know. I always struggle with the Hibs away to call them.
So yeah, Lorah, are you worried that it could be a potential banana skin on Wednesday? Are you confident going into that Hibs game?
I wouldn't say I'm confident going into it. I must say I hate Hibs as much as I hate Celtics. I'm just putting that out there. That I hate them. I hate playing them. I hate playing them away. I don't think it'll be an easy game, but I do think we'll get a win. I'm confident enough to say that I do think we'll win. I think it'll be a hard game, and I can't see many goals. I'm going along the lines of 1-0 Rangers.
So yeah, I agree. It is tough. It is however they decide to line up. Do they go for us or do they just sit back and defend? Shug, that would be fantastic if that was the case. If we could get Shankland in and we've got him playing against Hibs in his first game, that'd be fantastic, especially if he scored. That'd be winding them up proper. Anyway, guys, first of all, I'll say obviously massive thank you to the live chat for all your comments, and obviously to Michael as well for the super chat tonight. Damien, just to finish off with, let people know where can they find you, get more of your work, just promote yourself. Damien, go for
it. So I'm on TikTok as of fairly recently. And it's at Damien Hendry RFC. It's in that wee thing there. And I've started a Patreon in the last kind of few months, doing kind of more long form content rather than just the wee reels that you see on Instagram and TikTok. So I'm over on Patreon doing kind of long analysis and chats about the football and the odd bit of music content and stuff. And that again, that's patreon.com/Damien Hendry RFC, and it's like £3 a month or something if you want to subscribe and help a fellow fan out and get some exclusive content. That would be magic.
Absolutely fantastic. And Lorah, where can we find you, Lorah?
I'm just going to start off by saying I will go on and I will subscribe, Damien, 100%. I'll go on and do that after this.
Thank you.
And again, I'm the same. I'm just on TikTok. It's just pretty much funny Rangers videos, and then on live, mostly getting slaughtered off the other side. But just the same, my wee name here, just Lorah Hatton on TikTok. That's all I do.
Absolutely, yeah. And Lorah, guys, if you obviously, I know TikTok has that slight what's the word I'm looking for? Slight stigmatism, but it is a growing platform and there's loads of good content on there. I was on there this afternoon. I have a little flick through whilst I was sat in the car waiting to pick my daughter up. And there's loads of good Rangers stuff on there. Damien and Lorah both on there, fantastic. And if you fancy a laugh as well, go and check out Laura's live. She plays some fantastic Rangers music, which is great. And you know what? We need to gang up on them. We need to gang up on those Tims that keep coming on. Got to do it. And look, I don't mind taking them down. I quite enjoy taking them down. I just need to learn to be a little bit more careful because sometimes I get a bit angry with them and then that gets me banned from going live for about a week because I've said something that I shouldn't have said to them. So I do need to be a little bit more careful at times.
No, I love that.
Okay, guys. So obviously we're hoping in the next few days, guys, we will get a signing of some description that we can obviously talk about at some point here on the channel. Obviously, keep checking out Glasgow Rangers Nation for daily Rangers videos or free, guys, here on the channel. Please hit that sub if you haven't done so. You can hit the like on the way out. That would be phenomenal. Damien and Lorah, thank you so much. It's been fantastic chatting all things Rangers with you tonight. Damien, I'm sure I'll be listening to you on several more occasions in the car. Do love to have it. I'm blaring out with the windows open.
Brilliant, mate. Love it.
Especially at certain areas in the Nuneaton. And my partner actually lives in Coventry, and Coventry's very heavily Irish. A lot of Celtic fans in there. Love playing the Rangers.
Isn't it about Coventry with the windows down?
Yeah, all the time, just to wind them up.
Love it. No, thank you so much for having me. Thank you, mate.
No worries at all. Thank you to both of you again. And on the way out, guys, if you can smash the like and always remember, never forget, we are the people.